But I mean, yeah, basically. um, the other thing is I want to start mentioning the YouTube channel. Yeah, because duh. Like, I can't believe we haven't thought about that. Yeah, it auto posts, so every Monday on my marketing Monday I can go back. Well, see, I'll post on Tuesday, so I'll just do it on Tuesday. I'll go back, copy and paste the information, but I need to be able to get in there because it doesn't register as a comment the same way it registers as a description. Because if people comment, then my comment starts to go down. Even if, I mean, you could go in there and you could pin it, but I'm trying to make it less work for you. And it's also something else that you don't have to struggle to figure out how to do every time for 20 times until you learned it, you know? Okay. And I saw that you called what I was doing a think week, but I'm just gonna tell him like I just straight up needed a break. So, um, I think that was it. Okay, so are you ready? Okay. Oh yeah, record. Ah, I didn't put my phone away. Oh yeah. Hold on. Figures. I gotta text Tony and let him know I'm doing the podcast now. Oh, you use the same one? Yeah, that would be a little wet. Okay. Sound is off. Alright. That doesn't matter. It's gonna kick on and off in both of our houses, so because I have AC. Okay, so clap sync. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's do it again. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Yeah, usually even though it looks like it's off, it's actually on when we're talking because there's a lag to the video. So it pulls it together. All right, so hi, I'm Rebecca Gallardo, the host of what is the title of today's show, by the way? Okay. Hi, I'm Rebecca Gallardo, the host of Alone in a Room with Invisible People. I'm here today with author and teacher Holly Lyle, and today's topic is how to write besties and buddies. And this was a question from one of our listeners, and I believe she was a member of the Holly's writing classes community. But before we get into today's topic, we're going to do what we do every week and talk about how our week went. So, Holly? Yay! That's awesome. Let's let's clarify. Revision when you're 30 years in is not supposed to be. Right, yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a good thing to note for people too, because you are 34 years in? 35? At 24. Yeah, so you're like 35 years in, and it's, well, almost. Let's not age you because you're 58. So you're 24. Yes, you're 24 years in, and you still 34. You're 34 years in. You wish you were 24 years in. No, no, not really. Yeah, both of us are happy with our ages. The 34 years in, and you're still running into, I had to rewrite the first, quarter of the book or third. No, from what you had already written. Yeah, first quarter of the book. And so, like, even for all those people looking at the books that they've written thinking that it's not salvageable, um, I'm just gonna say the How to Write or How to Revise Your Novel course does show you how anything at all is salvageable, but you can end up having to rewrite a lot of it, having to cut like entire half of your book because you finally found what you were searching for in the very end of the book. And it's nice to see that a professional author with 34 years of experience still runs into the problems that any noob would on any day. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've got two more that are going in as well. But yeah, that's going to be your new demo. Yeah. So she'll also have two more demos from a different author from different perspective, I guess. Of one is a completely wrecked novel, and then the other one is a novel that just needs the extra oomph. So I think that kind of covers so many different levels for people, especially if they took the How to Write a Novel course and then they're like, oh my God, I'm running into the same problem as her. Then they can go ahead and pick up their How to Revise Your Novel course because a lot of your members have all of your stuff. Yeah. Well, my week was a take completely off. And I know you labeled it as a think week in the forums, and I appreciate that. It was a breakdown week. I had just burnt out completely and on different levels. And I realized that I owned my own business, and I realized how many businesses I started. There was a lot of them, and I didn't realize that. But like, I even started like a nail polish business and all this and that. But the big thing was Etsy. I started an Etsy shop when we first moved here because we had literally no money. And we had, mom actually was paying like almost all of our bills. And the only money I was bringing in was going to the not yard sale, not thrift shop, the flea market, and selling jewelry that I was making for super cheap. Like, these people were getting amazing deals. And because it's the area is just not going to pay. You have to know the market that you are around when you're local. So, yeah, making very little money. And then I started the Etsy shop, and it was very successful. But again, they were low profit margin items. And I did that for 5 years, and it was getting better, and it was really, really, it was paying our half of the bills. But when Tony said, no, okay, I'm doing enough work to pay for all of our bills, you can stop and just focus on writing. That was amazing. And I hadn't realized how badly I had burnt out on jewelry making, but I still can't make I still don't want to make anything. I don't want to design anything, which was really sad because I used to love to design different dangly earrings and stuff. And a lot of your members actually bought stuff from me when Tony was in his motorcycle accident. And I know I already said thank you for that, but I'll say thank you again because it was one of those moments where we were in such desperate help or need that, the help, it made me cry. And it was what we needed to kind of, keep everything together while he was recovering, because it was really not a great accident. Yeah. So I burnt out pretty bad. Still don't, and I used to love to make jewelry. I remember one of the very first things you had taught me was, jewelry making, playing with beads, doing all that stuff since I was a young kid. And I can't stand it anymore. And I've sold a lot of the stuff, and Tony refuses to let me sell some of the other stuff, like, because he's like, you'll get back to it someday. But I can't lose writing. Writing has been my thing since, well, I mean, you're when your mother is a writer and you have a lot of the same brain, because it's not always going to be like, oh, I'm going to I'm going to follow in my mother's footsteps or my father's footsteps for people. But sometimes you just click. Sometimes you just have the same connection, the same desires, the same loves. And writing has always been that for me. I can't lose that. Yeah, especially considering the fact that I am getting around to getting to the acceptance phase of the infertility and stuff like that. So I went into burnout, depression mode, and my friend Leah noticed it before I did. And she was very blunt. She told me over the Instagram chat, and I was like, okay, then I need to take this week off. So I did absolutely nothing other than very light help desk work. If there was anything big, I know Holly or Dan took over, and I appreciate that. I thank you guys both. But yeah, I was still doing help desk, and that was it. Man, I thought I was gonna help, because we've also had no water. Yeah, so we've had to fix the pump, and that took several days, and Tony was just constantly, if he wasn't working, and even when he was working, if he had downtime, he was watching videos and reading and trying to figure out how the hell to fix this damn pump. And he finally got it. We finally have water. We still have the same issues all around the house that a 16-year-old house would have, that you have to repair, but I don't care. We have AC, we have water, we're we're alive, our bills are paid. The roof is brand new pretty much. I mean, it's just little by little things are getting better, and I just have to focus on that. But last week I was just, it was just horrible, and I needed the time off. So I didn't get anything done. I think I went into the forums once, because I thought I was going to end up fixing a lot of the stuff in the house, or nope. I was like, screw it. I just need this time off. Yeah, I was going to say 12 hours is light. I remember there were days when I woke up and you were already writing, and I would go to bed and you were still writing. Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, and that was the problem with Etsy, was that there was no downtime. If I was watching movies with Tony, I was making new products. Literally all day, every single day, I was making new products, unless he forced me out of the house to go on a bike run or something, So that was, and the other thing is, I didn't love jewelry making as much as I loved writing. I just, so writing I think would stand the test, but I don't want to force it to try. And there is a point where you can force yourself to hate writing too, and I don't want to get there. Yes, yeah, week off. Yeah, I am taking Saturdays off, so Holly's going to do the show notes on Friday. That way I know if I need to do any homework before we hit the show for any future workshops that we have for you guys. And I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody out there with some sort of mental health illness, mental depression, anything like that. Find somebody to talk to. One of the members, I've been talking with him, and we've been just chatting, and I was consistently telling him, listen, You really need to go just see somebody. See somebody, talk to somebody, figure it out. And he did finally, and I am so proud of him. And if he's listening to this, I think you're amazing for doing it, because it's scary, and it's and especially walking into that void, that unknown. And if you have a mental illness, if you have, intrusive thoughts, bad thoughts, if you can't get out of your own head, seek professional help. There are ways to do it. If you have a very low income, you can look into Medicaid. If you're older, you can look into Medicare. If you are, look into community outreach programs that they have. You can call certain things for free. They have, just do a little bit of research to try to find some help, because it's one of those ego things. It's one of those also lack of self-esteem things. Oh, it's just me. Oh, I just have a problem and I need to fix it. No, I had that too. Oh, I had the pride. Oh no, I can fix this myself. I'll just read a whole bunch of Tony Robbins. I'll just read a whole bunch of these self-improvement, self-motivation books. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So if it doesn't, then your depression, your anxiety, whatever your problem is, might be worse than something you can handle by yourself. Yeah, her mother said he has diabetes, just wait until he dies. And just to let you know that, yes, yeah, it wasn't evil to us. But he didn't do any, yeah, he didn't do any of that stuff until you left. He was an amazing dad while you were there. Sometimes. Yeah, and like, just to tell you guys too, just to explain, her parents were, no, let's not tell everybody. Let's just work this out. Once Mark came out with what was going on, her parents specifically said, no, let's just keep it under the rug. Let's talk to the parents. Let's deal with it that, or with his parents, with Barry's parents, and figure this out that way. And if Mark had told Eva that, it would have been if Mark had told our other his other grandmother or grandfather, that, it would have pretty much been the same thing, because both sets of grandparents have a lot of pride in the community and how they are seen in the community, how they have a lot invested in their appearance. So it would have been really bad. It would have taken a lot longer, and who knows where we would be today. Yeah. Yeah, if you are having suicidal thoughts, please reach out to somebody, because we've said this before in the podcast. I know mom's told that story before, but at the same time, you never know who might have missed that episode. You never know whose episode this could be the first one. If you are having suicidal thoughts, as many creatives do, please seek help, because you don't know who you could affect. Even if there's nobody in your direct vicinity that has mental conditions or has intense depression or anything like that, if you're going through a bad time, work on it, it'll get better, and then you can tell your story and you might save another life. Yeah. And Mark is here today. Yeah, I don't yeah, I don't think I got a very 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 bad childhood from him, but I think for what Mark went through, he would not be here today if you weren't. So, yeah. Yeah. So on a happier note, and yeah, I do want to say though, we love you guys. Creatives are our people. If you are really really, obviously if you're in that spot, reach out to somebody, but you can always reach out to me as well, Rebecca at alonewithinvisiblepeople.com. All right, so let's get to the question. And this is how to write buddies and besties. And this is something that there's one little thing in here that I do want to mention after I read the question, and then we'll get into it. But this is the question. And again, I'm sorry, I forgot to take down names, so I didn't, all I did was just copy and paste all of these questions in one huge file so that we could get to them. And yeah, the names are not there because they would have taken an extra copy and paste. I'd love to get you guys' take on character relationships, focused chiefly on the non-romance side of things. Things like best friends, work partners. Basically, I struggle to show these really, really close relationships in my writing. Chosen family, take a bullet for you close kinds of relationships where romance, flirting, sex, all the romantic trappings is not present. I have several groups of characters across various novels who fit this description, and at least one of them is most definitely a romantic. She has a work partner with whom she is very close, and it's extremely important to both her character arc and her partner's arc that I show how each needs the other, but I stay true to her personality with all of that. So to restate, how do I make it clear that romance is not a factor in some character relationships, even though the characters are closer than family close? This is the thing that I want to point out. Somewhere in this conversation thread, somebody was talking about, yeah, how do I get people not to ship my characters, or why, all these people, they're always shipping these characters. Now, shipping, for anybody who doesn't understand, yeah, like Holly's like, what the hell? What's shipping? That's where, typically it's with TV shows, it's where you see romance between two characters where it's not like what I used to do with Clark and Lex from Smallville was shipping. I put them in a relationship. So, yeah. So that's what you're doing is you as the person see these two friends, and you want there to be a romance. You cannot control how the reader or the viewer reacts to these character friendships. Sometimes if they are shipping characters is because that's something that they are missing in their own relationship or life. Sometimes it's just because the actors have incredible chemistry, or the relationship in the book has incredible chemistry. It is not a bad thing at all if somebody is shipping those characters. It's just not going to happen for them, and sorry. you know Yes, it does. It does. And I just wanted to note that if you have people shipping your characters, you're not doing something wrong. You're doing something right, or the actors are doing something right. They just have a lot of chemistry, and that's a good thing. Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of those things too, is that I love my family. I loved Tony. Um I love Leah, I have friends that I love. When it came to a guy friend that I used to have that was also Tony's friend, I felt weird because it was like, well, I love him, so I was worried about it for a second, and then I'm like, no, no. I think a lot of us have, especially from, kids from abused backgrounds, we can sometimes fear that kind of feeling towards other people, especially if like we're married. Like you said, love has so many different faces. Is love, you can love somebody as chosen family. It is a true, true, deep love, and it's real. It's no less real than the feelings you might have for your partner. It's just a different side of love. And I think that a lot of friendships in writing lack that. They lack that depth. Yeah. I have to add something else in because hold on. I love Brian and Brandi. Had to add them in there. They fucking did my tile. And it was, yeah, it's like my, and then and he listens, and I'm like, I'm not gonna leave him out. Yeah. Okay, so click back in. Yeah. Yes. Okay, hold on. Restart that and then hit one, and then because it's all starting to jumble together. Well, you can go through all of them if you want, and then we can break them down. That way, somebody knows, like if they're taking notes or something. Yeah, yeah. That's the only thing I was worried about is that they're just getting jumbled. Yeah, I have to do the same fucking thing because otherwise I'll have two sixes, one eight, which is great, and then four nines. Yeah. So, and just start at number one because you've already said the other thing, and I can, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, and especially if, okay, so first off, you have to look at the time frame of when you are writing, like the time period of your book, because obviously if you're writing some let's go back to Anne Rice, the plague centric uh, age, you're not going to have somebody doing meeting over social media. But for instance, Leah and I, she met because somebody shared a tweet, or she met and she went and followed the tweet and saw my jewelry and bought something, and that is how we be and like this long, it's got to have been 10 years, I think. That, yeah, 10 years. And we have become the best of friends. Like, we talk daily, even though she lives in Australia. And it's such a weird, random way to meet because it's kind of like you and Matt or me and Tony, the stuff that they would not have normally done. She never clicked on friggin' jewelry links. She never clicks on ads on Twitter, and yet she did. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Now, and that doesn't have to be a romance either, but that's just how that ended up turning up. But one of our friends, came over one time, because his dog got loose, and saw me in particular playing. 'Cause his dog was huge, and most people were afraid of it, and and I was playing with it and calling it Cujo and all this and that, and he saw me with my original really blonde, thick ass dreadlocks, and he's like, oh, cool, okay, well, I know she, smokes dope. By the way, I don't. And I don't want to, I'm not going to bother with this hippie, this mess of a hippie. And then it went, what, like 2 years later, or a year later, year and a half, something like that, he comes over because of mail. We occasionally get each other's mail. And he stands outside and talks to Tony for 3 hours. Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? Holy shit, Tony's still out there? Oh, he must be a cool guy. Because Tony just, he doesn't give people a time of day if they're shit. So I was like, wow, this is really cool. And Tony was already a firefighter, so he already had friends. But yeah, and then we ended up getting the motorcycles. And that changed our life. So, and again, that was just a friendship. And that turned into friendship for me too. It's an odd way to meet. So that's one way you can do the chance meeting. Yeah, that's how I met Tony. Yeah, well, and there's another one too. There's how I met Brian and Brandi. So random. I wasn't feeling good that day, but I had signed up to do, basically, when they have a soldier, that has, sometimes when when they have a soldier that has died, and it can be in war or it can be at home. They have a group of people that, come by and hold flags, so that the family, when they, and you're there for hours and you're holding a flag, and that's all you do is just stand there and hold the flag until all the family is in there, has done the stuff on the inside, come out, and then they do the taps and the gun salute, and then you're not holding the flag, then you're with everybody else. But I've never done one of those before, and I always, if anybody knows anything about me, I support our veterans, I support our soldiers. I definitely am, as supportive as I can possibly be. I thank every soldier that I see, if I get the opportunity. So I wanted to do this, but I wasn't feeling good that day. But I didn't call out because I felt like I really, this is you. It was a commitment. So I showed up with a friend, and there were only two other people there waiting because we all showed up kind of early. No, it was just, yeah, it's just because we were early. There was a whole bunch of people there when we were, yeah. And that was Brian and Brandi, and we just started talking. And the only reason that I even got to know them, because if you know anything else about me, is I'm very quiet, internal to myself. If I don't know you, I don't really talk that much. Was No, no. No, you can't. Yeah, because you guys are my people. Mom's, obviously I have a good relationship with her. But I'm actually very internal, quiet. I got that cancer shell, the cancer as in June baby, shell that you got to break through. But my friend had the gift of gab. He was always very gregarious. So I ended up meeting them because of him, and they're in my life and they're my family. So that was not really somebody going somewhere where they wouldn't normally go. But it can be that, like you said, somebody goes and brings a stranger along. I would have been the stranger, because my friend was never a stranger to anybody. And then I met two of the more important people in my life. Let's talk about that work thing for a second though. So, I hated salesmen. Could not stand any of them because they were sleazy. They were just I could not stand. There was like one there that was kind of funny, um, and she shared Harry Potter with me, but for the most part, I couldn't stand any of the guy salesmen, just at all. And we had an influx of salesmen come in for what we were calling shuttle offices, and they were just temporary setups in other places, and they were just supposed to be temporary. And all of the salesmen walk in, and I'm just like, I'm as civil as I can be for absolutely just loathing every person that walks in. Tony walks in, smiles at me, and I'm done. I smiled back. And he was not even supposed to be there. He lived in South Carolina, and it was just an opportunity. He could have kept working there, or he could have moved along with his friend Ted. And he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come." And it wasn't that he did something out of character, because that's very much in his character. He likes money. And you can put somebody, you can have them meet at work, but have them meet in an unexpected way. Maybe they work in two completely different departments, and they end up meeting because the elevator's broken and they both have to take the stairs. Or, maybe somebody's new at work and is sitting in the other person's regular lunch spot or something like that. Yeah, and let's get to that part. So that's part two. Well, they can be. Yeah, like the two cops. Well, no, but you don't have to be stuck to each other either. Like Leah and I are not stuck to each other, and we have a lot of differences. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and one of them chose the side, chose the wrong side, and the other one didn't have the, yeah, she had no capability to make that kind of decision or, yeah. Well, she was, she had this, yeah, and cerebral palsy. Yeah. 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 But and that's with Leah, one of the things for us, animals. That's huge for us. And the core conviction can get you through a lot of other things because Leah and I see very differently. She is pure vegan and I'm eating almost nothing but meat, dairy, which she keeps telling me is going to give me cancer. And this is the kind of stuff that you can accept about the other person if you have strong enough convictions. Ooh, if you have strong enough connections to each other on those big core beliefs. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. like like you look at the characters and it makes for better conflict within the characters. I guess we should just get to part 3 then. Yeah. Conflicting. Yeah. 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 And then you give them conflicts. And a perfect example of that is if you watch Hawaii Five O. If you watch the two lead characters, they are as opposite as you can get. When they met, one of them pulled a gun on the, well, actually they both pulled a gun on each other. And yeah, and it's just it's a really good, the remake of Hawaii Five O is a fantastic look at writing characters that are the buddy kinds, the friends. I mean, there's male and female in there, and that aren't romantic interests for each other. And I love the fact how different these two main characters are, and it leads for a lot of funny conflicts, it leads for a lot of serious conflicts, but they're still friends. So that's a really good like little character study if you, even if you don't really have much of an interest in the show itself. I think it's, no, it's not on Netflix anymore. But yeah, I was bummed. But yeah, if you get a chance, like watch some of those episodes because they really are very good character, and there's a lot of chemistry. But yeah, the conflict, yeah, we're just messing it. Yeah, the conflict is really important because it can add humor, it can add tension, it can add these little side stories, especially if you build up the history between the characters for yourself, just even a little. And I just say the create a character clinic is a good one for that because you can pick all of these different things. And obviously, you don't have to go through the whole book. Holly even specifically says just pick a few questions for each character. Yeah, you'll be there for months, but it's kind of it's just this really really good way to handle your characters and to give the reader some interest and something to keep going is to maybe even give them a conflict thread throughout the entire novel. No. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's and taking it back to friendship. That's why so many of the more important friendships have lasted as long as they have because yeah, you disagree on stuff and you might even have an argument or two, but if your core beliefs, if the things that make your character, if they are also important to their best friend, or their work wife or work husband, then that's all that matters. Like Tony had one work wife that I adored. And usually I'm a very jealous person. I leap to conclusions. I am, cuz I know everybody has insecurities. One of mine is definitely losing him because he's amazing and he had one work wife though that I loved. I loved her. I loved her husband. I thought that they were great. I've done some art for her and it's I just loved how well they worked together. And I never actually saw it or anything. It's just, it was the one person that I felt like I could completely 100% trust with him, like no problem at all. And that they just clicked. And he's got three people that he mentions as the best partners. And one of them is her and one of them is her husband. But it's just, I just that kind of relationship because they didn't agree on everything obviously. Tony is a very polarizing figure. Yes, and he is a Yankee, so you are going to hear them. Um but and she is southern. So there's that really kind of cool conflict you've got going that you can add if you know anything about Yankees and Southerners. Yes, yes, oh yes. And I've got some Yankee in me now because of Tony. And, hmm yes. And we're very different people. You might not pick that up from listening to this, but we have different opinions on the world and people and how we act and stuff like that. We have different belief systems, but yeah, when it comes to friends, I guess you could make somebody like in Australia because I'm learning a lot of lingo. You could make somebody just like a regular old Joe and then give them a bogan friend that and that bogan is like worse than a redneck, I guess, because they say redneck and then a bogan is like even worse, and then make this one person like super rich and fancy and stuff, and that would be a really odd friendship, and that like they don't like bogans, but this one is like their best friend, and you could figure out a way to have them connect on something really really core. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And those differences, when somebody else knows a whole lot about one thing and somebody else knows a whole lot about the other, it's that yin yang, it's that balance. So when you have the disparities, they end up working out and kind of fitting together like Lego pieces, you know? Sure. If you want to see this in action, go watch Parks and Rec. Parks and Recreation. The characters of Leslie and Ron Swanson, who is one of my favorite characters in television of all time, Ron Swanson. He is a libertarian. He is the head of Parks and Rec, and he wants all government shut down. He thinks his job is a joke. He does as little as possible, and he would prefer his entire Parks and Rec crew to be a just huge disaster and never get anything done. Leslie is a pain in his ass. Leslie is the exact opposite. She is liberal and very much a Democrat. She is completely like enamored with her job. She loves what she does. She absolutely just balls to the wall work, like completely nothing but work, always just insane. She does like for a regular presentation that you would maybe have a 3 or 4 page spread to let everybody know what's going on. She brings 3-inch ring binders and passes them out to everybody. Yeah, yeah, it's a great show. It's hilarious. The last season is the last season's kind of iffy, but eh. Um if you want to see two completely different, polar opposite people on every possible way except these fundamental things. And this was actually something that Michael Schur, I think his name is Michael, Michael Schur wanted to put in the show intentionally, is to show these two people on complete political opposite sides getting along, working through, because his thing is the country is so divided and people aren't talking, they're yelling. They're speaking, but they're not listening. So in this instance, it's two people completely different that continue to support each other and have that common ground. And it's brilliantly written. And and just as a side note, Michael Schur is one of my favorite freaking people. Not just because of that with Parks and Rec, but also because he was, if you guys have ever seen The Office, he was Mose in The Office, and Mose is hilarious. But yeah. Anyway, that is a very, very good representation of what Holly is talking about. It's just a comedy version. If you don't have, if your characters are not stuck together, if they don't have to be together, it makes it, I think, just as strong of a pull that these two complete polar opposites keep keep desiring to hang out, keep desiring to like, oh my god, he drives me crazy, but I still want to hang out with him. Yeah. And then finding that, is fun. Me and Tony. Yeah. That is the weirdest insult I've ever heard. You could have just said something like you preppy GQ bastard, but nope, there goes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, people still use it. A little, yeah. But no, this, yeah. They, mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. This is a really old reference. This is one of the first, I think, one of the first few seasons of The Real World. And this is a real case. This is real, two real people. One was a white male, one was a black female. And if you watch the show, and I vaguely remember this, I really, really do. He was sort of ignorant to race issues, and they just, you would think that they would not get along, and they didn't at first. But and this is a case where they were stuck together because it was the real world. So for anybody who doesn't know, any of the younger folks listening to this, I don't know if it's still a thing. It might they might be on season like 30 something. I don't know. But that was a program run by the by the MTV. I'm old now, by MTV. And they put people in a house and they put cameras around, so then you would see the drama. And there was a lot between them, but I remember a few years after seeing that they had actually become kind of really, really, really close. I don't know if they're best friends, but they had become really, really close because he wasn't he wasn't against learning. He wasn't against, like, he wasn't saying no, you're wrong. And they had like this kind of connection, and I don't know what it is because I'm not them, and I haven't done like a whole lot of research into it or anything like that to find out what it was for them. But they were able to turn that corner and become really close. And that's something else that you can use, is taking two people, and again, this is something that Parks and Rec does kind of, a little bit. It's where they start to inform each other. I'm not going to say change each other's minds, because some things you can't change somebody's mind about, but you start to understand the other side of things. And that can be a really great conflict arc for an entire book or an entire series, is them just, there's something about each other that they like and that they connect on, but they disagree on big topics as well. So then they can just slowly inform each other. You don't want to make it preachy. You don't want to make it like this soapbox. But if you can slowly show the other character what this one is going through action, and slowly kind of their knowledge of the world opens up, because you see that the other side isn't wrong. It's just not what you've experienced. Mm-hmm. Yes, that is not what I'm talking about at all. I'm saying both characters learning about, like, being informed about the other's lives. That doesn't change their own personal life and what they're going through, but it does open their mind to the other character and the other character's world, and maybe it might change a little bit of how they see that person. Yeah, that's what the conversion is. Yeah. So here's a good idea for that. If you have something that you want to get across, give each character half of that. And then that way that they can kind of open each other's minds to that. And so it makes it more like they're both growing, and it gives the reader not the feeling like, oh, I should be converted to whatever this person, because this person is preaching that this is the one and only way. And you're only preaching to the choir. Yeah. Yeah, because I usually, if I start a book, I finish it. It's kind of a weird thing. It's an absolutely have to. But if there's a bunch of that preaching shit, nope, straight into the donate bin. So yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. You need to make it like an allegory, like Mom did with Talon, where it was actually about Republicans and Democrats, or liberals and conservatives, or the whole place was going to be destroyed and taken over by basically robots, in a way. Yeah, they weren't robots, but yeah, you'd have to read the book. I'm not gonna say. Hold on, let me take out that part about the robots. So they had to come together, or they were going to lose everything to a third party that was intensely evil. Um, so before we go on, I have to pee, and I should probably bring Maggie in here for meds. So if you need to take, just, it shouldn't take but 5 minutes maybe. I've already had my two. Yeah, I need two every morning. All right, just don't make yourself nauseous. So get something to eat too, or whatever. All right. I'll be right back. Okay, and phone just for Tony. I got cheese. Num num cheese. Good girl. Alright. Ham and egg. Ham and egg flavor, Maggie. You like the ham and egg. Alright. There you go. Okay. Hello. Yes. Okay. Oh. And it's not like you can really turn on the fan. Maggie, go eat. Oh. That's my Maggie Meds alarm. Ready whenever you are. Yeah, I mean, you could learn to like the character can learn to like the husband because of something, or wife, the spouse, because of something that they do, something major, something big. Like for me, would be like bringing home a sick and terrified kitten, that found on the road. I mean, that would definitely ingratiate that person to me, like, dearly, and that because that's one of my strong convictions, animal rescue. So if you know your character's convictions and this person is just against most of them and just seems like an awful person, you can have them do something that is like the one redeeming quality that fits one of those core convictions that person never would have seen the spouse ever doing, ever in a million years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If that does happen, I just want to say, please don't put in the "I told you so." Please don't have the or the friend come back and say, "Oh, you were right about my husband." It's a genuine. You got to be really genuine about this person had shared some sort of core conviction with the husband or wife, and then they lost their spouse because the rest, it just didn't work out, and it's just so trite to have the one character be like, "Well, I told you it was no good," and the other person say, "Yeah, you were right." I mean, it's just, come on. I disagree about the number, but that's fine. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. To both of them. And if you build these core if you build these core convictions within your characters to start, then you'll be able to kind of play around with this. You can build these put these words together. What do they share? Put them in a circle. What do they not share? Write those, put them in, some other kind of circle, and build this kind of triangle of the things that they share that are the most important, they share that aren't, and then the things that they don't share that are the most important. Yeah. And it also really it helps inspire other people as they're reading this fiction that you can disagree with a friend and just accept them. It's about acceptance. It's not about trying to change a person, whether that's your spouse or a friend. It's not about changing them to make them who you want them to be. It's the same in fiction. So if you're writing these characters that are just completely just polar opposites in so many ways, but they find a way to accept each other, it's also teaching other people out there that this is possible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it can't be a simple misunderstanding. It can be, yeah, it can be a forced misunderstanding by the antagonist of the book or something like that. Lies, deceit. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure Maggie gets her food instead of Oliver. Because if she walks away, oh, because she doesn't always have a big appetite in the morning, any other animal in the vicinity thinks, oh, okay, fair game now. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. That is missed in a lot of fiction. A lot of fiction, when they have two friends suddenly break up, it's like they were never friends. It was like, oh, you just read and it comes off as empty and not realistic because you were best friends for a reason. You were so close for a reason. And when you have a fight and you're no longer best friends or you're not talking to each other or whatever, it doesn't completely erase all of your history. That is still there. You still miss that person, and if you don't know this from experience, then you are very, very lucky. But I think most of us do. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you might know what you did wrong. But it depends on, so like if a character doesn't know what they did wrong, that's one big conflict, is them trying to figure it out. If somebody does know what they did wrong, they don't act like they did wrong, because most of the time if they did quote wrong, it was something that they believed in. It was a conviction that had them create that rift. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nope. One thing, if you just mispronounce something, it just let it roll and correct yourself like we have before. Because again, it's not a scripted podcast or anything, and I think part of the charm is that we're just human beings and we fuck shit up. It also makes for easier editing for your daughter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even if it was that deceit, right? Let's take it a look at that. Even if it was that misunderstanding that came from an intentional third party, y- even in getting back, they're still going to have a little bit of that, well, it was that easy to break us apart. It was, yes, yes. There's still going to be that problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if it's all part of the plot and part of like the main story or a side story, um, yeah, Yeah, I mean that bringing them back together. I like the idea too of okay, well, so they reach the ending of this book. They're friends, and if this is a series, this is a great way to do it. Then the next book comes out, and while they're friends again, and they can even consider themselves best friends again, carry that thread. Have the thread of that previous betrayal on both ends pop up every now and then, in some fashion. And it's something because that's how real life works too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes the hurt can be deep enough that it's going to travel for the rest of their lives, but they are still best friends about it. It's something that heals over wrong. There's always going to be a limp. So that can come back not just in these moments where they have to hesitate, but it can come back in small interactions. It can come back in the most simple of ways. Just, a sudden doubt that just suddenly enters the mind. It just depends on what your character is like. It also depends on the plot, the genre, all of that stuff. Yeah, and that's cool. It's like one of those fiction is meant to be better than real life in many ways because you can do things that you can't do, but it you can't relate, or your audience can't relate to the book unless it takes from real life. So it's like that delicate balance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it can only help the reader by showing them that, 2, 3 books down the line, there's still a little tiny bit of friction in one little area of their friendship. Well, that makes the reader feel like, hey, I've been there, and that's okay. And it makes them more connected to you as the writer. It makes them more connected to the story and those characters. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. You know the characters, you've got the conflicts, you've got what's important, and and it can't be the same conflicts. But if you suddenly think of a new cool conflict that'll work, and you want to get back into the series, then you have that, opening. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's done it. Unfortunately for me and other badger lovers. Well, also his absolutely flashy tastes and okay, so here's a good one. Go read Hunting the Corrigan's Blood if you have not read it, for a good way to show two people that are very different. Because I mean, I love the way you describe his absolutely horrific tastes in the bright neon skin colors, the crazy eyes, the crazy staticky hair, the clothing he chooses. Um, yeah, I actually liked his horrific choices, just to let you know. That fits me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And character building. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't tell people that. No. Well, I mean, if you want to, you can. I'll leave it in there. But, and that's the point. That's the thing, is that just because you lose somebody doesn't mean that they're not still there. And that's true in real life, and it's true in fiction. And again, it's that delicate balance of fiction and real life. Yeah. Yeah, but he's not Badger. Eh. 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 I read part 2. No, but eh. I'm stuck on mine. Okay, so is that everything except for the takeaway? Okay. Oh, yeah. Or it's just boring. It's not realistic. Yeah, it's I mean, it doesn't have to it's true that one of them could be a dish rag. It's true that one of them could be using the other one, but that makes for good conflict. The other thing is, if you're writing it and you're writing it as they do agree with everything, then it's just boring. It's boring as hell for the reader to read. It's like, oh gee, I wonder what's going to happen now. And it's not realistic. And again, there are certain things that you don't want to do from realism, and this is one of the things that you don't want to do from fiction, is create two perfectly, unless they're the antagonist, and in like The Bad Place by Dean Koontz, those twins, you don't want these two people to be clones. Yeah. 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 Yeah, and that's one of the things that I see a lot in both romances and other things is that and where they're friends and it feels like, oh, they're friends because the writer said so. And it irritates readers. Readers can't connect with either of those characters at that point, or can connect with one because they feel like, okay, I get this person, and then they get frustrated because they wouldn't be friends with this other person. That's worse than not being able to connect with both, is that you connect very well with one and you see this absolute BS coming from this other character, and it's like there's no reason they would be friends. They get irritated, they won't read more. Yeah. And they might finish the book, but they're certainly not probably not going to buy another one from you. I would want to read and see where they finally tried to finally make this person worth it. And then by the end, if the friendship hadn't made sense, I would not buy another one. I wouldn't bother wasting my time or money. Yeah. 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 If the writer is a good enough writer that it makes you want to, that you're anticipating a reveal and then the reveal doesn't come, I'm not I'm not wasting my money or time on another book. So even give a small reveal of something is and then build that in the next book. That's great. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, and that's completely believable. It happens in real life all the time. Hmm. Yeah. And it could be that it was cast that the person who did not change cast off the other one. Don't think that just because one flipped, that's the one who decided they didn't want to be friends anymore. Could be the other one. You just got to know your plot and your characters. But either one, they can both suffer, or either one can cast off the other, and then that one is in a lot of pain. So is that everything until the takeaway? Okay, cool. So I'm just going to remind you guys where you can follow us, but I do want to say something that I have been forgetting to mention. Holly has a YouTube channel. And if you prefer to follow her on there and listen to the podcast there, they are uploaded at the same time pretty much as the podcast on any other app. So if you like YouTube, if you prefer YouTube, it's Holly Lyle. That's HOLLYLISLE. That's all you got to do. Just type that in, and then you see they're on there every week. I'm going to be updating those so that they have all the links, they have all the information, because we just have been kind of neglecting it. And it's apparently something where she gets, some views. There are people that are watching those. So I want to make this a little bit easier for anybody out there of you who watch it on YouTube. I'm going to definitely put some links in there so that yeah, yes, absolutely. There's no video. We don't record. Yeah. Yeah, we don't record our Zoom sessions or anything like that. We might, if we get together, we might do a podcast or something like that where we're, together and we're talking to each other. And I mean, if you guys are interested in that, but that's a long ways down the road, and it's a very, very rare thing that we would do. Yes. Yeah, we just live very far away. Yeah. Um, So yeah, anyway, you can follow us at AIARWIP on Twitter. You can follow us at Alone with Invisible People on Instagram. You can follow Holly at holly.lisle on Instagram. I am R Gallardo, that's GALARDO on Instagram. You can follow us on the Facebook at Alone in a Room with Invisible People. And you can find the show notes at alonewithinvisiblepeople.com. We've got transcriptions on the way, so we're trying to make it easier for people with hearing impairments and or just people who want to go back and look at their notes, and maybe they missed a part, then they can pop open the transcript and go for them. I think we've only got the first 3 or 4 up. I know one of them was showing an error, so I intend to fix that tomorrow on Marketing Monday, so that'll get fixed. And that's basically it, except that if you want to join the community, I know that a lot of people like Facebook, but the real community with all of the writers and everything, your backup, the free courses, which is the How to Write Flash Fiction, the Summer of Fiction as well. Join hollyswritingclasses.com. It is a free account, and there are tons of writers. If you don't have writer friends that get you, these are the people to go to, especially if you are somebody who is trying very hard. You're doing your best to learn. You're listening to all of the podcasts and taking things here and there. It's a great place for all writers. It really is, for all of our writers that are doing the work. Yeah. So and if you need to reach us for any reason, it's show@alonewithinvisiblepeople.com. So Holly, go. Oh, and I did want to also say, don't forget Halloween episode. The submission due is October 1st. And go look at the guidelines. They're on the website. If you go to alonewithinvisiblepeople.com, on the right-hand side, if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see Halloween 2009. So click on that and read the guidelines. We'd love to see your submissions. I love that. Yeah. Okay, so that has been our episode on how to write besties and buddies. I hope that this helped. If the original poster, or if anybody is interested in how to write chemistry, yeah, definitely let us know that you want to learn how to write chemistry, because that's it. It's kind of separate in a way, and it's something else that we could probably do maybe a mini on, or I don't know. Yeah. Oh, thank God. Everything for you is no, it's not going to be a mini. So that's good to hear. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to say we love you guys. We appreciate all the support. And yeah, just, man, get to writing.